Okay, so here we are live once again with another McFarlane Toys Digital DC Multiverse unboxing, and this is Nightwing from the new Teen Titans. This is his first appearance costume. Got a lovely piece of artwork on the back by George Perez, one of the all-time great comic book artists, certainly one of the greatest that I remember from my early days reading comic books and growing up. And George Perez was the artist on New Teen Titans at the time, designed this costume. Later on, go on to do Wonder Woman. So had a really good career over at DC for a while. Also worked at Marvel beforehand, did Fantastic Four and Avengers, and then went back to Marvel and did Avengers again. Probably the definitive Avengers artist, yes, even more than Jack Kirby or John Buscema, in my opinion. And you know how much I admire those guys. But yeah, George Perez, he was, I think, the guy who with a lot of these kind of team books like that, you get an artist who I'm looking around for my X-Acto knife, by the way. That's why I'm kind of distracted. But a lot of those team books, the best artists are the ones who aren't necessarily the ones who draw like any single character the best, but the ones who can draw all of them very well. And George Perez was definitely that on the Avengers and on the new Teen Titans. Bobby Walters says, you would think the orphanage would do more checking on Bruce Wayne to see what's happening with all those orphans, especially after Jason Todd. Yeah, like, the whole Jason Todd thing is just weird because they wound up like going to Ethiopia, I think is where Jason Todd was killed. And had to go all over the globe. And surely somebody knew that Batman and Robin were in Ethiopia at the time, and somebody would have connected the dots. I believe the Joker actually did, and it's hinted at in that story. Why can't I find my X-Acto knife? Where did it go? Well, you know what? I'm just going to use this thing because I think that'll work just fine. Should be sharp enough. It doesn't have to be too sharp to cut that tape. And then we'll use my snips to cut the rubber tabs when we run across those. And I'm sure, like I said, my X-Acto knife, it's got to be around here somewhere. But I just got so much stuff on my desk right now. Got a ton of action figures on this desk. A lot of stuff I'm working on, and a lot of stuff that I just had over here. So yeah, we've been over the origins of Nightwing before, and dang, this thing's stuck real good. Look at that. I had to tear it, get it out. And basically, I have a theory as to the reasons why Nightwing was created. And one of those is that my idea is that a little before Nightwing was created, Keebler had licensed the Teen Titans characters to appear in a Say No to Drugs kind of comic book. But it turned out that Nabisco already had the rights to the Robin character specifically, which had to do with their superhero cookies at the time. They had a brand of cookies called superhero cookies. They were basically like animal crackers, but shaped like superheroes instead of animals, in a little box. It had a trading card you could cut on the back. And Robin was one of the characters they'd licensed for that. So when Keebler, a competing company, was going to do their Say No to Drugs comic with Teen Titans characters in it, they couldn't use Robin. And they wound up having to redraw the character in the comic to be a new character called the Protector. And if you can go and look up the actual comic book pages online, the actual physical pages, and you can see where there's all kinds of whiteout and everything over the character, where they did redraw Robin to be this character, the Protector. So here's a little NFT certificate thing, and there is our trading card with the same picture of Nightwing that we saw on the back of the package. That's what the back of the trading card looks like. And it reads, McFarlane Toys Digital, Nightwing, real name Richard Dick Grayson, a youthful version of the Justice League. The Teen Titans featured Robin as the leader from the outset. In the 1980s, when the title was relaunched with new characters, Robin grew more independent than ever, living in Titan's Tower and then changing his code name to Nightwing. So I suspect that part of the reason that they wound up, maybe even the main reason that they wound up having Richard Grayson become Nightwing is because they wanted to make sure that, you know, if they did a Teen Titans cartoon show or something, they could still use the character on it. So technically, he's not Robin anymore, is he? You know, he's Nightwing. So, and they are considered separate characters. It's one of those weird legalese kind of thing. It's the same way with Superman and Superboy, even though they're both Kal-El, adopted by Jonathan Martha Kent, raised as Clark Kent, and Superboy grows up to be Superman. Superman used to be Superboy. They're like legally two separate and distinct characters. Yeah, it's confusing. So, anyway, he comes with one accessory, which is a Batarang. And that's an accessory that I kind of feel like Nightwing shouldn't really come with. It's like he should have his throwing discs, if anything else. So, but he does come with a Batarang. It's a nice little Batarang, and I will say it's rather a distinctly shaped Batarang. I don't know if I've seen this Batarang before, and it's got a little hole in it, so you can tie a bat line in there if you want to. Well, let's go ahead and set that aside for the moment, and let's go ahead and have a look at the figure itself. It's gonna snip all the rubber tabs. He's got double rubber tab around the torso, right at the abs, and single rubber tabs around both his wrists and both of his ankles. So we got him out of the package. Now, I have had one figure of Nightwing in this costume before, and that was a DC Direct figure. And they solved a lot of the same problems as this figure in different ways. And I'm gonna point out these the ones that I noticed. So in the comic, where did I put the box? I just had it. And yeah, in the comic, you can see that he's colored with a lot of black shading and blue highlights. That's how most of his outfit is drawn. So it's obviously supposed to be a dark blue kind of outfit. If not black, then dark blue. But usually you see it depicted as blue. And here it certainly is depicted as blue, and they decided to go with all blue, and it's kind of a royal blue. That DC Direct figure I was talking about made it kind of a metallic, kind of dark blue, and that wound up making it very, it looked really cool. I really liked the look of it, but that kind of captured the flavor of that, I think. And the same with his mask. But you'll notice with this mask, they actually have given him a black mask with blue highlights on it. And it does match up pretty well with specifically this picture of Nightwing on the back. It's not exactly 100% the same sort of highlights, but you can see how they were kind of using that almost as a guide. It's pretty darn close. Not exact, but pretty darn close to how it is on the back. And they got a lot of good detail to this figure. With the paint applications, you can see they got that yellow trim with that kind of feather texture to it. He's got the lighter blue trim over that and the high collar that sticks up. This is actually my favorite Nightwing costume, and I'm very much in the minority on this. I think most people would tell you that their favorite Nightwing costume is the current, you know, the black bodysuit with the blue bird wing shape over the shoulders. And that's the one I think is probably the most iconic. The one that when most people think of Nightwing, that's the costume that they think of. And if I was going to do a movie or a television show or something like that with Nightwing in it, that's certainly the costume I would use because it's the most familiar version. But I like this one the best personally. And that's because I kind of feel like it, more than any other of the Nightwing costumes that we've seen, it has like a real swashbuckler feel to it with that collar. And I feel like that fits the character's personality very well. So yeah, this is my personal favorite Nightwing costume. even though I'm sure most of you watching out there would disagree with me. Maybe one or two of you. And if this is your favorite Robin, or I'm sorry, your favorite Nightwing costume, leave a comment below and let me know. And if you think I'm wrong, if you like one of the other costumes best, leave a comment and let me know. Bobby Wald says, "Oops." Bobby Wald says, every superhero's name or superhero's mother's name should be named. Every superhero's mother should be named Martha, but his mother isn't named Martha. His mother was named Mary, so pretty close to Martha. Like I think Martha's probably like a derivative of Mary, or vice versa, or something like that. Max Games and Toys is here, and he says, Grayson always be the best. Yeah. Well, like he was the original Robin. He was the one that set the standard, right? But honestly, I think I might even like him better as Nightwing than I like him as Robin. But that's that you know says more about how much I like Nightwing than how I feel about Robin. I have pointed this out before that I was not like a huge fan of Robin when I was like when I first saw the character. Like I didn't hate Robin or anything like that, but I wasn't really like that into Robin until the new Teen Titans. That was the thing that finally made me seeing Robin finally out of Batman's shadow, and not just on his own, but leading a team of other young superheroes. Like I thought, just kind of highlighted how cool this character really was. Seeing him away from Batman, I was able to, Robin's pretty cool on his own. He doesn't really need Batman to be cool. So then I had like a whole new respect for the character, and I liked him even better when he finally became Nightwing. So yeah, this would have happened when I was like a kid reading comic books. I think I was maybe about 10 years old, maybe when Dick Grayson became Nightwing. And it's kind of funny because like that was so long ago now that a lot of people, like even people like God, like 1986. So like people like now would be like in their 40s that never read comics when Dick Grayson was Robin, because like he always would have been Nightwing. You know what I mean? Maxime Toy says, "Do you like Teen Titans?" Oh hell yeah, I love Teen Titans. Like like I said, I read the new Teen Titans when I was a kid. I had like not the first issue, but one of the earliest issues with it was the issue where they had the origin of Raven, and it has this flashback to Raven's mother being offered up to Trigon in a kind of satanic ritual, and he comes and takes her as his bride and seduces her, and then like reveals his true evil form and throws her away like trash afterwards. And I go back and I read that as an adult, and I'm like, geez, I was 6 years old when I read this comic. Was I not scarred for life? But a lot of that stuff just kind of goes over your head when you're a kid. And you're not even really thinking about that kind of thing. But yeah, it's pretty spicy for a code approved book back in the early '80s. But yeah, I was a big fan of New Teen Titans specifically back in the day. But I'd read also some of the Silver Age reprints fairly early on. My dad got me some old comics at a what do you call it, like a flea market, and that had some of the original Teen Titans in there. So that was how I first read some of those. That was where I first saw Speedy, and I was like, wow, like Green Arrow had a sidekick. That's cool. So I became kind of fascinated about him. Max Games Toy says, I'm talking about the new Teen Titans Go. Well, that one I hadn't watched a whole. I liked the older Teen Titans cartoon. I liked that one. I watched the movie of Teen Titans Go, and I think that's just not my type of humor. I think it was just kind of like a little too sort of like uh I don't know. It just wasn't my type of humor. Maybe it was like, I'm trying to think of like a good way to say it, but it was kind of like bratty in a way. I don't know. It just I could see how it would appeal to a younger person than myself. I think I'm just a little too old and grumpy for it. Obviously, it's a popular show and a lot of people like it, but not everything is made for me. So and it shouldn't be. And not everything should be made for everybody. So there's plenty of stuff I like that other people don't like, and there's plenty of stuff I like that that I don't like that other people like. I don't really care, whatever. But yeah, it seems like a lot of people like it because they made a movie of it. But yeah, the main reason I went to see that movie was and I did go to see it in the theater, was because Nicolas Cage was doing the voice of Superman, and I thought, oh, that's awesome, so I'm gonna go see that. And that was the best part of the movie, honestly, I thought. But anyway, so this figure mostly reuses a lot of the same parts from this basic buck that we see a lot. And you can see that it's got like the upper arms are the same. I'm not sure if the forearms are the same. It's definitely got this extra wrist cuff on it, but I can't really tell. I think I can't tell if it's a solid piece there. And Earth Dude is here. Hey, Earth Dude. Hope you're doing well today. But yeah, I can't tell if that's a separate piece that's on there, but I think it's actually molded on there. So these are new forearms, I think. And they're new lower legs, because you can see it doesn't have like the generic kind of boots like the Riddler has. But it is mostly the same body. It looks like it's the same trunks that, not on the Riddler, but we see the plain trunks that we see on a lot of figures like did I have Captain Atom around here still? Yeah, I got Captain Atom right here. So they're probably the same trunks as we saw in Captain Atom. He's another one that uses this buck. The torso seems to be similar, but I do believe that this is a brand new sculpt. Well, it's based on the old sculpt, but it's a brand new mold because it's got to have this collar piece and the new neck piece that attach to it. So those are separate pieces that sticks on there. But and the seem to be the same. So the thighs are the same, the knees are the same, the feet are the same. The trunks we've seen before. It's the same abs as so basically this is this same basic buck, but it's got new forearms and new shins and a new upper torso. So they did a really good job with this head sculpt. I think it does really look a lot like George Perez's artwork, the same hairstyle, and like I said, the way they painted the mask, very similar to the way he drew the highlights in the comic. They did kind of go a little overboard on the detailing of the teeth, like Mcfarlane tends to do sometimes. So some people think that looks kind of creepy. I don't think it really is too detrimental to this figure, but he does have that kind of cheesy sort of 80s grin on there, like the swashbuckler feel, like I was talking about. So it fits the character, I think, to have that sort of cheesy grin on there. He's as they describe him in the first appearance of Robin back in 1940, that laughing young daredevil. So he hasn't lost that aspect of himself. Let's go ahead and real quick, while I'm thinking about it, I'm going to put the Batarang in his hand, and we can see him holding the Batarang. And like I said, he's not really supposed to have a Batarang because he's trying to get out of Batman's shadow, but whatever, he's got one. So and if you don't like it, you can always just give it to a regular Batman figure. But he really should have had the throwing discs. And I guess if you really want to, the Nightfall Nightwing figure had a hand that had the throwing discs molded into it. And that one, you can probably swap out the hands for that fairly easily. Max Games Toys says it looks great to me, and I agree. And then he asks if I've seen Superman 2025, and I still have not seen Superman 2025. So at this point, if I do wind up seeing it, it's going to be when it hits streaming or something, because I just have not had time to get out to the theater. I haven't seen Fantastic Four yet either, and I'd really like to see that one. But it's just I got so little time to do anything these days. So who knows when I'll be. I haven't seen anything this summer. The last movie I saw in the theater was Nosferatu, which was back around New Year's that I saw that. So yeah, it's been like 8 months. And I used to go to the movies all the time, but I just don't have the time anymore like I used to. Max Games and Toys says That's a night war. Yeah, something like that. And he says Nosferatu was a great deal. Yeah, I love Nosferatu. I thought it was awesome. I bought the Blu-ray even. So I'm a big Dracula fan anyway. Like I always like Dracula, even like the Nosferatu version of him, which is a plagiarized version of Dracula, basically. I don't know if plagiarized is the right word because they actually in the original, the 1920s version, the silent movie, they actually do give Bram Stoker credit in the opening credits. But I think it's one of those things like copyright was like a little more loose back then, or at least like people had a lesser understanding of copyright. And the studio that made Nosferatu figured, well, we changed it just enough. We probably shouldn't get sued, right? Nope, they got sued, and that's why most copies of it wound up getting destroyed. They were supposed to destroy all the copies of it, but thankfully there was a loophole because due to again some kind of copyright shenanigans, just some thing where they forgot to dot an I or cross a T or something. Dracula, the novel, actually has always been public domain here in the United States. So copies of Nosferatu in the United States survived. So that's how we were able to have that movie, even though Florence Stoker tried to have all the copies of the original Nosferatu destroyed. So yeah, Count Warlock is basically like a bootleg Dracula, basically. So, but yeah, like the funny thing is about the new Nosferatu is that they actually made him closer to how Dracula was described in the book, with like the big mustache and everything like that. So, as a guy who read the book, I really appreciated that. I'm talking about Dracula an awful lot in a video about Nightwing. So, but it's easy to get me distracted onto Dracula. I pretty much did that to myself, even. That's nobody's fault but my own. So let's go ahead and talk about the articulation on this guy. Nightwing can look up about that far, look down about that far, tilt his head kind of quizzically from side to side, rotate the head all the way around, but does kind of bump into that big collar there. That's just going to happen. His arms, of course, rotate all the way around the shoulders, and they got that cool Mcfarlane butterfly joint, so you can wiggle them around backwards that way, forward that way, up that way, down that way. His arms can move up to the side about that far. Great range of motion on the arms. These do seem to have like a little extra mobility to it versus the standard torso that we see to this. Max Games and Toy says, check out Last Voyage of the Demeter, another great Dracula movie. Yeah, I still need to see that one. I still haven't seen that one yet. I did see like a little bit of it when I was doing some work in a movie theater recently. Like, well, not recently, but when that movie was out, I was doing a little bit of work at a movie theater, and I went in there for a minute and saw it. But yeah, like it's crazy to me that Dracula is the kind of movie where you can just, or so it's the kind of book where you can just take like a little bit, even just like a little bit of the story, and make a whole movie out of it. And that's the Demeter isn't even the only place where you can do that with in that book. Anyway, I'm getting distracted again. So he's got that cool Mcfarlane torso articulation. He can bend back about that far, forward about that far, kind of wobble this way and that way. Of course, rotates all the way around where the rib cage meets the abs, and where the abs meet the belt. So, I wasn't done talking about the arms yet. So he does have bicep, so bicep rotates all the way around. He's got double jointed elbows. That's about the range of motion you get at the elbows. Good range of motion at the elbows. He's got the cool Mcfarlane wrist articulation. So not only does that rotate all the way around where the wrist meets the forearm and where the forearm meets the hand, but it's got this hinge on it that you can pretty much turn any which way you want to. Except mine got kind of stuck here. There we go. I think that's just like a little rough piece on the inside that got like that, but I fixed it. All right, so Nightwing can kick up about that far. Excellent range of motion for kicking up, so that's good. He's got like a little bit of wobble here, not like a full rotation, but enough you can get some good posing out of it. He's got double jointed knees. That's about the range of motion you get at the knees. He does not have a boot cut, but he does have the cool Mcfarlane ankle articulation. So the ankle rotates all the way around where the ankle meets the shin, and the ankle rotates all the way around where the ankle meets the foot. And his foot can point down about that far, point up about that far, and then he's got toe articulation just to show off. So somewhere around here, I could have sworn that I had a figure that would be really fun to see next to Nightwing, and here she is. I was able to find her. So there we got Nightwing and Starfire. Now, of course, this is a much more modern Starfire costume than the classic Nightwing costume that was here, but it's close enough, I think, aesthetically to her original costume that they still look pretty good together, do they not? So that's pretty cool. And then I guess since I also have him handy, I know I had him around here somewhere. Yep, here we go. We can see Nightwing with his successor, Tim Drake, my personal favorite Robin costume. So there's Nightwing and Robin together. And since I still have my favorite Batman figure over here, we can see Nightwing next to his mentor, Batman. And they look really cool together. That Norm Brayfogle Batman. Oh, that's my favorite. Love that one. And let's see. And then finally, we can have Nightwing next to Barbara Gordon, Batgirl, and they look pretty good together. So this is a great figure. I like the colors; they're nice and bright. They really pop. You know, they probably could have made the blue, like the darker blue of the suit, even darker than what they made it. But I think it works pretty well in the coloration that it is. I'd mentioned before how like you could interpret, and it might have been their intention to make the darker blue part of the costume black in the original design, but if you want to see how that would look on a Nightwing figure, check out the 1966 Nightwing figure. They actually did sub in black for blue there, and it looks really cool. So, but yeah, I love this costume. It's one of my favorites. It is my favorite for this for Nightwing. But yeah, and plus the other thing about this costume that I can understand why they changed away from it eventually is like this costume. I speak from experience. It's kind of a pain to draw. Like there's a lot going on here. And George Perez, he was an artist with like a really meticulous style, and he would design these costumes with all these meticulous details to it. But not every artist is up to that. Even some of the best artists, like their style is a little more simple, and this is not a simple costume. But when you put them in a black bodysuit with just like kind of a blue wing shape over the shoulders, there you go. It's simple, it's iconic. That's why that wound up overtaking this costume as being the definitive Nightwing costume. And when most people think of Nightwing, that's going to be the costume that they think of. But for me, I'm always going to have like a lot of nostalgia for this particular version of Nightwing. So, but that's pretty much it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you like and subscribe and all the fun YouTube stuff down below. YouTube likes it when I say like and subscribe, and they suggest my videos to more people, and then more people watch them, and more people like and subscribe. So I like saying like and subscribe because it gets me more viewers. Max Games and Toys says, "I always think the web looks like Spider-Man." Oh, that might have been one of the influences there. With the I think it's supposed to be like feathers, like it's a night wing. You know, eh, eh. But yeah, it definitely reminds one of Spider-Man's webbing. So Spider-Man's webbing, like I wouldn't say that it's less complex than this, but I kind of feel like it being a more prominent design element on the suit. This is just kind of seems like it's just such a minor thing to have to put some effort into. Oh, I did have over here. I didn't have it over here like to for any particular purpose. It might still be around. Let's see. Did I have it around here still? I had one of maybe it fell in the box down here. Sometimes stuff falls in that box. Well, I did have over here one of the figures from Batman and Robin, of Robin wearing a dark blue suit with yellow trim to it, which I just kind of used as a Nightwing figure when I was a kid. It looked kind of like one of his '90s costumes. Not this one. The '90s costume that's colored kind of similar to this. Oh well, whatever. Anyway, so that's it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Please make sure you like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about Nightwing, both the character in general and this figure specifically. We'll be back next episode with something else to open up, and I'm not sure what I'm gonna pick. Maybe I'll do this guy. I need to do this guy. The Clock King. How about that? I got the finally got the Clock King. This isn't technically a Batman villain, but it kind of is a Batman villain. So he's Batman adjacent. So we're gonna talk about the Clock King just in general. You might remember a while back I opened up the 1960s television series version of the Clock King. That's a completely different character. And also recently I got a figure of the Batman the Animated Series version of the Clock King. That's a completely different character. We'll talk about that on the next episode. That should be fun. Max Games and Toys says, I need more Motu figures. Well, who doesn't? Don't we all need more Motu figures? I do have some on pre-order on Big Bad Toy Store. So there's going to be more on the way. Don't worry. Like we're I'm never going to be done talking about He-Man on this channel. Like there's always going to be plenty of He-Man. Even if Mattel stops making them, I'll just start talking about old toys. I don't care. Like, I'll talk about He-Man on here. That'll happen. So don't worry about it. And there's a movie coming out, so they're going to have movie toys, and I'm going to be buying those. So I haven't seen a whole lot of the design work from the movie yet. I've seen the sword. I've seen a couple of teaser images where we get some details of He-Man's costume. I've seen the Havoc staff. Oh yeah, because they had that at Comic-Con recently. So I'm pretty sure that aesthetically I'm going to appreciate that movie, even if it winds up being like a stupid movie and having a bad script or whatever. I'm pretty sure that I'm going to like at least the designs for it. So I will be buying the toys. I will absolutely be buying the toys. Like I said, I know a lot of people out there don't like the Revolution cartoons, and I really enjoyed them. But even if I didn't, I'd probably still be buying the figures from the show because like they did a really good job with, like, say the Battle Armor He-Man here. That's a great looking He-Man figure, and I don't care if you liked the show or not. Like, you see that and oh, that's Battle Armor He-Man, and he looks awesome. So I'd still be buying those figures even if I didn't like the show. And likewise, if this movie winds up being like a stupid movie and I don't like it, at least the figures are going to look cool, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, I'm excited about that. So anyway, but that's it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. We will talk to you next time. Bye.